Good morning, all of you, and welcome you all to the last session of this semester one course. We are at the flag end of our sessions. So far, we have completed 14 units of public administration semester one. And today we are going to briefly review about the different topics, whichever we feel they are important. We will discuss them today. So in fact, actually today's seminar was planned, but simultaneously psychology and Telugu medium classes are going on. So few of them have requested to conduct in the next week so that it is possible for everyone to attend the seminar, because the classes are going to end today and probably next second Saturday, which is a holiday for everyone. All of you must be free on that day. So it is scheduled on that day. The link will be shared, probably the same link. If there is any change in the link, then definitely I'm going to share with you all. Today we will discuss very briefly about the different topics, like what actually we have discussed. Now, basically, as I told you in your first class, that is, public administration is a very simple, very interesting subject, because the subject, whatever we we see in our daily lives, we see around us, whatever the government decisions that are taking place, whatever we read in the news, or whatever you hear, read in the newspapers, all these aspects, they will be covered in the subject public administration. So public administration subject is very interesting, and it has the journey of public administration has also been very interesting. The theories and all which we have studied earlier in the previous classes. So today, briefly, let me discuss about what actually is public administration, and the different theories very briefly, and we'll go on. Okay. So as you all know, by now you must have understood what public administration is, or what are its foundations, who are the major public administration thinkers who have propounded the different theories, and how they have evolved over a period of time, and how they are applicable to the organizations of the present day relevance. And not only the present day relevance in not only the organizations, but also in our daily lives. See, as the students of public administration, you people must have understood how to take decisions. Okay, the decisions at the individual level, decisions at the organization level, in the critical situations, and all these aspects that will, the principles which we have studied in public administration, they will definitely help all of us, for our improvement and betterment. And that is the beauty of public administration. So if we try to look into public administration, what exactly public administration is, it is actually an activity, we can say, and a subject of study which occupies a very important place, and in the modern society, or which we can call as the complex societies. We have discussed in the first class. Societies have evolved over a period of time. Earlier, they were very simple societies. Human beings had very small requirements. They did not aim for very high. Their lifestyle was very simple. Hunting, feeding the family, and that was just the way of life they were living in the olden days. But as the tools evolved, as the human being tried to gather the information, share the knowledge and all, with all these reasons, the shape of the community has totally changed. And besides, the evolution of not only the tools and all, the aspirations of human being also changed. Human being, basically, as we discussed, is a social animal. He wants to live in the groups, and he wants to exercise power as well. So this is the reason why, there is, complete change in the nature of the society, and the functioning of the society has changed completely. And because of this, the government has evolved and all. So all these aspects, this gives the importance of public administration, which is not only an activity, but also a study, okay, which has a great relevance in the present complex societies. That's why we have used the word complex here. Now, as we all know, the father of public administration, Woodrow Wilson, in 1887, he has given an important, writing. There is an essay on, study of public administration. And public administration, we can say as a process, it is basically concerned with not only the government policies and programs, but also the behavior of the different officials and all. So that's why we can say that significance of public administration, especially in the developing countries, it is of enormous significance. We can say it has got a lot of importance. Then in this course, as if many of you, majority of you have attended all the classes, and we have total 14 units in this. We have covered right from the meaning and the importance of public administration. Right from that to we have we have discussed about different theories. Then at the end we discussed about the social justice theory yesterday. So public administration, the concept, if you really see what actually it is, we have discussed in the first class that it has evolved from the two terms, that is the public and administration. Public is nothing but the government or the public. Generally, we keep talking. Public is nothing but government. We use vice versa the term. We say it is a public place or public office. So what does it mean? It means it belongs to the government, and it belongs to the government means ultimately it belongs to the people. So the word public denotes here the basically government, and the word administration, that is ad administrate, which means to serve the people and all. So if we try to define what exactly public administration is, then we have seen the different definitions, and foremostly the most important definition as given by Woodrow Wilson. It is the detailed and systematic execution of a law, that every particular application of law is an act of administration. Now, whatever the government takes decisions, whatever the government is implementing, that is basically, we can say it is the act of government. And L.D. White, also, he has written, extensively, and he has contributed a lot. He defined public administration as public administration consists of all those operations, which have their purpose for the fulfillment of or enforcement of public policy. And here, what it is important is the competent authority. See, we have seen throughout the different theories, especially in the bureaucracy and all. So they must be, they get the authority legally. Unless, they are recognized, they get the power legally from the competent authority, they are not, they cannot exercise the authority over the people. So this is the basically two important definitions in the examination. If you get a question like, define public administration and write importance or the features of public administration, then basically 2 or 3 definitions are enough, or you can just quote the Woodrow Wilson's and L.D. White's definition. And you have to remember that while writing the answer, if you write the definition, you just mention the name of the thinker also, so that will be more impressive in the examination. And also from the fill in the blanks or objective type of questions also, it will be useful to you. So basically, after reviewing, different definitions, the main thing is we come to know that public administration is nothing but it is related to law or enforcement of law, or it gets the things done. So these are basically the main concept of public administration. Now, after discussing the definition and all, the scope of public administration, if we see, we can say that there are two, we can say views regarding the scope of public administration, the narrow view and the broader view. Narrow view is given by Luther Gulick and all. We have discussed about post-cop, isn't it? You must be remembering the term post-cop. Post-cop is nothing but planning, organization, staffing, direction, reporting, organization, and reporting and budgeting. So this is the acronym of the different words, and we have seen the importance of each and every principle involved in it, how it is important, not only from the organization point of view, but also from the individual point of view. So public administration, now if you see, it has got different perspectives, that is from the professional point of view or discipline point of view, or as a branch of government or branch of administration, it has been functioning, and it is very we can say it is a process actually. And the several functions which we keep on discussing, they come under this functions, and different thinkers have they have explained, like for example Henry Fayol, he abbreviated POCCC, and here P stands for planning, O for organization, and three C's, they stand for command, coordination, and control. So likewise, we have seen the Gullick's post, Pop, and all. So there are different thinkers who have given certain principles of public administration, and we have seen the differences between public administration and private administration. Generally, we keep the differences are very evident or very clear to all of us. What kind of differences and for what purposes these organizations do function basically. And when we talk about the government organizations or the public organizations, the first thing it comes to our mind is it is only for the public and not for the profit motto. And it has to work for the welfare of the people, and it should not expect any kind of what we can say profits and all. And if we look over the scope of public administration, it is very vast, very large, and the regulations are by the government, whereas it is private rules and regulations, that is the board of directors, they do decide. Though broadly they come under the government regulations, but each and every organization have got their own norms, they have got their own standards, they have got their own goals and all. So we can say that in the public organizations, mostly it is a monopoly kind of functioning takes place in the government, and whereas in the private, a lot of competition is there. There are a lot of players in the market, and they compete with each other from time to time. Now, we can say that recently, when you have seen the Ukraine crisis, when our students who are struck in the country there in the Ukraine and the borders of the Ukraine, what did we expect? We expected the government to get them back, isn't it? Nobody expected from the private parties or the private people that they should arrange for the coming back of our students or our people who are struck there. So that is a responsibility of the government, and every one of us expect the same. If there is a crisis, the first thing we remember is the government. Now, even during the outbreak of COVID, what happened? There was pandemic. All the earlier in the early stages, that is exactly 2 years back, when the starting cases were started to dip. What happened? The government had to regulate. Even the government did not know what is actually the COVID, what is its form, how does it spread, or what are the medicines for it, because we had no clue regarding that. But the government had to take decisions. It had to make the regulations that lockdown was imposed. Whether it is right or wrong at that time, that is debatable, but that was a responsibility of the government to see that pandemic should not spread to others. So that was one of the main functioning of the government. Then whenever after the COVID it has come, later what happened, the vaccination and all, that was also the responsibility of the government. So it is all the functioning of the public administration, and we don't expect that from the functioning from the private organizations on the large scale. Though they do, then definitely they will look for the profits. So while even while writing about certain concept, if you find we can relate it to the present times, then definitely you can relate to the contemporary times and give example and write in the examination. So and importance, if you really talk about what why actually public administration is important. As we all know, to maintain the stability of the nation or the society, definitely there should be some kind of a force, or we can say a power which has to regulate, and whatever the chaos are there, whatever the instability is there, that has to be taken care by the public administration. And definitely bureaucracy works for it. And and especially in the period of when we are talking about the different welfare schemes and all. So it is a responsibility of the public administration to implement the policies and programs. So these are the different, we can say, these are the important aspects which have to be kept in mind about, the importance of public administration and all. We discussed about the state, society, and public administration, how the state and society and public administration are interrelated with each other, and the relationship between the state, society, public administration. So society, as we have been talking, it is basically an association of the people who are living together, in the peace and harmony. And the nature of society has been changing from time to time. This is what we discussed. And state as well, when the people started to live together, they needed some kind of regulation. And for this purpose, state has come into origin. And to administer the state, the government has to come into the existence. And this is nothing but public administration, what we are calling. So it is an regulatory body having certain functions in order to maintain the social order and the development. So the relationship of state, society, and public administration, we can say that, especially in the context of developing countries or like India, state has to intervene, in the different aspects of the life, whether it is a social or economic or cultural, all these things. The government or the state has to intervene, because ours is a democratic and the welfare state. So there are several aspects in which the government has to take care, because certain problems are very deep rooted, right? As soon as we got independence, it was not that it was true that we got independence, but we were not free from the social evils. There were several problems, there were several issues which were the people were really facing. Casteism, gender disparities, unemployment, income disparities, and all these things. No doubt, even today we are facing some of those challenges, but definitely there is a little improvement, we can say. So the government had to take steps, whether it is for the agriculture development, whether it is for industrial development, or whether, creating jobs, or providing education, free education for the people, or, for the skill development. All these were the challenges. And for this purpose, when we talk about the relationship between state and public administration in the developing societies, especially, it assumes, we can say, a great relevance. And there are different perspectives in this, the relationship. That is a liberal, neoliberal, and all. The ideologies differed. And there was also the Marxian perspective, which we discussed, which, has focused on the working class and the elite class, the differences and all. The Gandhian perspective, which always emphasized, there should be, Gandhiji has promoted for non-violence, and, the autonomy and the pride of an individual. And we can say the Gandhi has always emphasized, he has promoted for the national unity and peace among all the sections of the society. And the Weberian perspective, which we have discussed in detail in the separate chapter, that is Weber's bureaucracy and ecological perspective. Also, we have discussed just yesterday about the Rick's contribution to the public administration and all. So these were the different, we can say, different concepts which were covered in the state, society, and public administration. Then there were, other lesson, I think, which were there. It was the evolution of public administration, which was taken by the other ma'am. So in this evolution of public administration, we have discussed about the different phases of public administration, how it has evolved from time to time. Then we have certain classical approach, the levels, we can say the phases of public administration in this evolution are, it has been divided into different phases. That is the pre-modern conceptions, and classical theory and neoclassical theory, behavioralism, postmodern public administration. All these theories, we have studied from, in the previous classes. When you're not able to really, you probably must have not understood it at the beginning, but once you have completed all the lessons, if you have attended all the classes, then this chapter would have become very easy. Now, what was the basic concept of public administration? That is the pre-modern concept was, public administration, it is an art rather than science, because it is said that it is learned by practice rather than by teaching or studying. One has to acquire that skills of administration. That was the basic, the concept which was believed in the pre-modern times. And another great one important aspect, which is the feature of pre-modern modernity, is it was felt that good administrators, they are born rather than made. That is, they are born because ascriptive values were given preference, which we discussed yesterday. That is, the people were given position in the different positions. They were in the bureau, whether it is the bureaucracy or any appointment of officer. It was done with the whether depending upon the caste, depending upon the class, depending upon the section of the society. Then they believed that only the elite family or the high caste families, they had the the abilities to rule. So that was one of the reason it was felt that good administrators are born and they cannot be made. Then the classical theory, which we have discussed about the Luther Gulick and Arvik, who have given the different theories. So in this, scientific management also comes under the classical theory, and Max Weber's bureaucracy also comes under this. Then came the neoclassical theory, which we discussed about, that human beings, they just don't work for money, but they work for certain other aspects. That was the main emphasis of this neoclassical theory. And in this theory, basically the behavior, the social conditions of the work was assessed, and it was assessed for the production of the work, and not only for the economic or the material conditions, but other conditions were important for the functioning of the people. Then behavioralism, we discussed about Herbert Simon and Chester Bernard's contribution, in which decision making concept was discussed. And the behavioralism, it gave a complete dimension for the study of public administration. And in the postmodern public administration, it focused on the concepts like it has rejected, that is the neutrality of civil services. That is, there are no influence of the external factors on the civil services or the principles of the organization, which have been emphasized by classical theory and all. All these were rejected in the postmodern public administration. And the effectiveness and the economy, cost cutting of the government was also emphasized in the postmodern public administration. Then we were in the next concept, it is discussed about politics administration dichotomy. Somebody was asking about this politics administration dichotomy previously also. Now, politics administration dichotomy is nothing but, you can say, it is one of the paradigms, or there has been changing in the phases of the evolution of public administration. So they have drew a demarcation, they have drew a difference between the politics and administration. And the Woodrow Wilson was the first person who has tried to draw the differences between the politics, what politics does and what administration does. They believe that politics is nothing but with the policy making, they are particularly, they're responsible for policy making. But whereas administration, it is involved in implementation of the policy. So definitely there is, they both are not one and same. This was the concept, given by Woodrow Wilson, and that is nothing but politics, administration dichotomy. Then, when we speak of era of challenge, there were several principles given by public administration, and all these principles, they were not accepted and they were challenged. And the principles of public administration, like hierarchy, coordination, and supervision, unity of command, all these we discussed. So all these principles which were postulated by Luther Gulick and others, they have been challenged in the era of challenge. Especially they were criticized as proverbs, because they do not hold good in all the places or all the situations. Sometimes it is possible to adopt these principles, but it's always not possible, and it's always not relevant to all the societies or all the organizations. Then came the crisis of identity. And when public administration and political science, they were separated, the scholars, they have opted for public administration, but when there were really challenges were there, some of the people, they went back to the mother subject, that is the political science. Then they had to actually rethink about the position or the identity of public administration, like what actually public administration is. But in India, most of the universities, they have offered as a separate department, public administration. It is even taught separately other than the political science. And in many of the foreign universities, it is one and same. But these days, they have introduced public policy and governance, which has become very popular, not only in the foreign countries, but also in the central universities. It has become more popular. Then, then came the new public management, which emphasized, more on 3 M's, that is the market, managers, and measurement. And they wanted to improve the functioning of public administration. They want, they did not want the old traditional hierarchical way of functioning of the government, and they did not want to involve a lot of money to be spent. That is the cost cutting and all these were propagated, we can say, new public administration. So it has attracted, a lot of scholars from various disciplines, and it has become more multidisciplinary, or we can say. Then public administration, as the governance, when we talk about the government, we say that it is a structure which implements the policies or the programs. But when we talk about the governance, it is much more larger than the government. The process is entirely, it has changed, we can say, trying to meet the needs and aspirations of the people. And after this globalization, privatization, liberalization, there has been a lot of change in the functioning of the government. So it has started functioning as the governance, which is much more, we can say, broader way, we can say. So, and then we have discussed about public administration and the relationship between the other social sciences, that is the political science, economics, sociology, psychology, and all. Now, see, any subject which we discuss or which we study, definitely it is not independent. We cannot study it independently, because it has got several aspects which are related to the other subjects as well. So you have to be, more multidisciplinary in approach. You cannot say that one subject is totally demarcated from the other subjects, because if you take, for example, public administration and political science, public administration has originated from political science. So definitely there is a close relationship between the public administration and political science. Though later the dichotomy has taken place, and it was accepted also, and today, though it is an independent subject, definitely the broader way of the structures or the the whatever we are speaking about, the power, authority, and all, it has its origin in political science. So we can say that political science is nothing but basically it is a scientific study of polity, the political system, the state, and the different pressure groups, or the electoral system. All these aspects are studied in political science. Whereas in public administration, we do study about the implementation part of all these structures, their functioning and how do they function. All these aspects we study in public administration. Then when we talk about the relationship between the economics, we can say that economics is also one of the most popular subject discipline wise, and also it is very important from the nation point of view also, because the financial matters are related to the economics, and definitely public administration and economics, they both are related, because for the functioning of the government, definitely you need the money, and the money comes through the taxes of the people, and the economic system of the country will totally depend upon the kind of economic reforms you do take from time to time. So definitely there is a close relationship between economics and public administration, and sociology also. Now, as we all know, sociology is nothing but the scientific study of human society, and there are different people who live in society. They have got different perspectives, they have got different ideologies and all. So the government has to function keeping in mind about the needs and aspirations of the people. Unless if the government implements, it decides and implements, it is against the wishes of the people, definitely government has to face the kind of resistance from the people, and the government tries to please the people, tries to implement those programs which are related, which does not harm the customs, the traditions of the people, because ours is a democratic country, and the government has to keep in mind the sentiments, the aspirations of the people of the different societies. And not only that, whatever the social issues, social evils are there, the government has to tackle them. And for this purpose, it has to understand the nature of the people, nature of the society. So definitely there is a good relationship between public administration and sociology, and in the same way psychology also, because finally the people who work in the organization, as we have discussed in the different theories, they won't work for money. Sometimes they work for appreciation, they work for some kind of incentives and respect in the society, and their motivation levels are totally different, and it varies from person to person. So, and definitely all this comes under psychology. It studies the behavior of science of mind, we can say. So there is a relationship, close relationship between public administration and really, having a psychological approach towards its employees. Then definitely the production might increase. And history. So history, many of you must be having it as one of your other options also. History is nothing but a study of the past. Then in what way it is related to the present times, or in what way it is related to public administration? So why there is a connection? What connection is there between public administration and the history? Means definitely we should never forget our roots. The present is built on the foundation of the past. So whatever the decisions have been taken in the past, they will have their implications for the future. So that is the reason why we talk about the sustainable development also. When we talk about the development, it's not that we should not always only think about the development of the present generation or the present people. It's not that if the petrol, if the water, if any of the natural resources or the trees or the forest, which we are enjoying today, the natural resources, or for that matter, even air, which is relatively breathable. See, today it is breathable, but what about future? What about after another 50 years? What will happen? Probably, see, you must have come across several cartoons in the social media saying, in the future, people might carry the oxygen cylinders because of lack of oxygen. So why will this arise? Why these issues might come in the future? Because if the decisions of the past leaders, past administrators, if they have not taken the wise decisions or the rational decision making, if they have not done it, which we have discussed in the Herbert Simon's contribution to decision making, then definitely we have to face the challenges. So for this purpose, talking about sustainable development is very important. That is keeping in mind the needs of the people of the future generations without compromising for the to meet the requirements of the future generations. Taking decisions in present times regarding our development, thinking about our own development is nothing but the sustainable development. And definitely there is a close relationship between history and public administration, because that whatever see today war is taking place, or invasion is taking place. Why? Because the things which have already occurred in the past really have the implications of the future. So whatever the things have gone back, it's not that past is past, but definitely they will have some kind of influence or implications in the future. So this is a relationship between history and public administration. Not only that, as we discussed in the Kautilya and Sun Tzu, what happened, they have given beautiful strategies of not only war, but administration, how the administration should be, how the king should be, how he should treat his people, how he should work for the welfare of the people, the authority, the supreme authority, and all this, the good things. What we are talking about good governance today, it is written in thousands of years back. That is about the dharma and all. That is suparipalana or good governance. So all these things we should learn from our history, so that we will not make mistakes in the future. That's why we need to learn history. Many of them, if people are studying history, they say, what is the use of history? History, there is no scope for the history and all. But history has got a lot of scope, as it all depends upon how you adapt it, how you add your skills, how do you improve your skills. It all depends upon that. Not only history, any subject for that matter. If you study BA, probably many of your acquaintances or your friends or family members, they must be saying, why are you studying BA? What is there in BA? What future you will have? See, it's not that what subject you are studying, but the knowledge you gain, and not only the knowledge you gain, but employment or skills. It's always not necessary you do engineering or medicine. See, even today, the engineering students who have done lot of many we can say courses they have done from engineering colleges, but they are not getting jobs because of lack of skills. So it all depends upon the skills and all. And when we talk about anthropology, anthropology is also nothing but the evolution. It discusses about the man origin and evolution. And definitely the culture, it also studies about the culture of the people of the past and how the societies have emerged and all. So while making policies, the government has to keep in mind their needs, because especially anthropology, it studies tribal people and all tribes, different tribes in the country. So tribal development is one of the biggest challenge of public administration, because they are away from the normal stream of people. They are not well educated. They do not have good facilities like roads, hospitals, and electricity, because their living is totally different. And if you have to implement something for them, if you want to do something from them for them, you have to understand their lifestyle, their culture, so that you can bring them to the mainstream and get them good education, proper education, facilities and all, health facilities and all. So with this, these are the different relationships between the different disciplines of social sciences. Then we discussed about the Kautilya and how the state should be, and how what the different postulates given by Kautilya in the Arthashastra. And we have discussed that Arthashastra means Shastra is nothing but a study, and Artha, it is basically nothing but a livelihood. That is denotes the wealth or substance of livelihood. And in Arthashastra, the nature of the state was discussed. Nature of duties of the king were discussed. How the king should look after his people, and how the king must utilize the different services, like the services of the ministers, and Amatya, which we discussed, and Janapada. That is, Janapada is nothing but it is it is related to the citizens, but it is like geographical area. It could be the geographical area or citizens. There is no clear explanation regarding the Janapada in Kautilya's Arthashastra. Then he has spoken about the kosha, that is a treasury, royal treasury, where the money, the people's money in the form of taxes will be stored there, and the king has no right to spend without the knowledge of the for the good purpose of the people. Unless it is for the good purpose of the people, the king cannot use that. And he has emphasized on the friendship of the different neighbors and all. So all these things we have spoken, different elements of administration are discussed, and important officers were discussed in Kautilya's Arthashastra. Then judicial system, how the king was the chief judge, or he used to give the judgments and all, and he was assisted by the different people who are very prominent in their knowledge and skills. So this was about the Kautilya and even Sun Tzu. And one of our participants is also presenting on Sun Tzu also. It's very interesting, as we have already discussed in very detailed. That is the essence of art of war. For waging war, what strategies should be needed, how the army should be positioned, what are the different sources other than the weapons which can be used in the war and all, and how the strategic leadership has got a great importance. Then how we can use the spy system, how it is important, and how it is relevant to the present times, because there is a lot of competition in the market. How we have to improve ourselves, how we have to make the strategic planning, not only planning but also implementation, to achieve the goals of self, not only self but the organizations and all. Then that was about the Oriental approach. Then the classical approach, we discussed about the contribution of the Henry Fayol, Luther Gulick, Orvik and all. And we have also discussed about the Max Weber and the Karl Marx, their contribution to the bureaucracy and all. So when we talk about the principles, the different principles as associated by Luther Gulick and all, they're very important, because they have given the principles which are relevant to the present times also. Though some of them, they might not agree that it is outdated and all, but still they have little relevance to the present times. Then we have discussed about the scientific management theory of Taylor, whose contribution was how to do things scientifically, how to use the time efficiently, and how to function within a time frame. All these objectives of scientific management we have discussed in scientific management approach. And in the principles of scientific management, basically we discussed about the development of the true science of the work, how it should be done, then how the people should be appointed, trained, and how they should be utilized for the functioning of the organizations, and how the workers and the management, the relationship, how the responsibility should be divided. That is, the planning should be the duty of the management, whereas the implementation part is of the workers and all. Then the method study, which determines the basic steps, how to perform the work. Then motion time study, that is how much time, the best time is required. Standard, that is how much the output can be done in a particular period of time. All these things were we discussed in the scientific management. Then also we discussed about later after scientific management, we discussed about the bureaucracy, that is the approaches to bureaucracy, Max Weber and Karl Marx contribution. What is bureaucracy? It is nothing but the appointed public officials which function according to the needs and aspirations of the people. They have to function, they have to implement the policies of the government. And Max Weber has given different types of ethic authority, traditional authority, and legal traditional authority, and all. So all these were discussed in the Max Weber's bureaucracy and Karl Marx bureaucracy also. Karl Marx basically he did not he was against this concept of bureaucracy, and he has lot of apprehensions regarding the functioning of the state and bureaucracy, that will work only for the working class, and the interests of the weaker sections of the society might be compromised. That was the main concern of the Karl Marx. Then we discussed about Herbert Simon's contribution, and we discussed about the socio-psychological approach and human relations approach, in which Elton Mayo has conducted the different experiments, we can say, at Philadelphia, that is Hawthorne experiments, which are very famous. That has been explained, like the people, irrespective of the changing in the external working conditions, the productivity increased. Whether the external conditions have changed or not, the production has improved. So that means the people are actually reacting to the experiments being done. So that was the main findings. And not only that, besides formal relationship, informal relationships, they work in the organizations. That was the main one of the main findings in the study of Elton Mayo. Then in the Chester Bernard and Herbert Simon, we have discussed about the leadership qualities and Simon's decision making, how the best decisions have to take place among the different alternatives, how you have to choose the wisely, and the importance of the communication, which is very important for any organization, because there is unless there is a good communication from upwards to downwards, then definitely the message is not going to reach, and the objectives of the organization is not going to be reached. Then we discussed about the social psychological approach, that is Maslow's contribution, then McGregor's analysis, like it. That is, Maslow's theory is very interesting. As we discussed, he has discussed the needs of the people. He has divided them into 5 levels. That is physiological needs, then social safety needs, social needs, and esteem needs, and the self-actualization needs. He has explained about the motivation, how the people get motivated, what are the different reasons. So first, basically the physiological needs should be satisfied. Then he craves for, he looks for safety needs. He wants to protect himself from the external environment. Then he looks for family bonding, or friendship, or relationships at workplace and all. Then he wants recognition and appreciation, and at the end he tries for the actual purpose of the life. What is why are we existing, or what the best we can achieve, not only for ourselves but also for the people on the whole, or in the organization where we are working, what kind of support we can do to our fellow beings, fellow workers and all. Then McGregor, who spoke about theory X and theory Y. In theory X, he said that the people really, they don't like work. They want they want to be pushed for working. They do not come forward on their own. They don't take responsibility and all. They need strict supervision. But whereas theory Y, the people really love to work, and they don't need much supervision. These people are proactive, and they take responsibilities on their own. And then we discussed yesterday about the administrative ecology, that is Rick's and Ambedkar's and Phule's social justice approach. So in the Rick's, we discussed the characteristic features of prismatic society, which is very important. And in the characteristics features of prismatic model, we discussed about formalism, heterogeneity, and we discussed about overlapping, and we also discussed about the Sala administrative model and Bazaar Canteen economic model and collect social subsystem. And we discussed in the social justice approach, we discussed about the life and contribution of Mahatma Phule and Ambedkar, how they have strived in their lives, what are the challenges they faced, and what are the agonies, they had, and how they have showed the way to the present, the generations of us, and even for the future generations. They always remain as the legends because they have fought for not only abolition of untouchability, casteism, and economic disparities, but also, main importantly, the women education. The women were not supposed to be, they were not allowed to go to the colleges or higher education and all. And the laws, according to constitution, which today we are enjoying, is all because of the contribution of the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So that is the reason why we regard them with high respect, and definitely we have to follow their teachings and preachings, so that we can make our life meaningful and purposeful, and not only for our own existence, but also we can be of some kind of help to other fellow beings in this, in our society where we are living. So that kind of example, that kind of learning we have to take from Mahatma Phule and Ambedkar. So with this, we have completed our syllabus very briefly. So if you have any doubts, then please, you can just post here so that we can, I can answer them. If you have any doubts, please just you post it here. We not only completed all the chapters, but we have also reviewed today right from the beginning. So I think it must be easy for you to understand. And once if you go and read in the textbook, then definitely it will be very easy for you to recollect for the examination also, because we have made good attempt to review all the things. So that will be, I think, that is useful to you. Important questions. Important questions we will discuss in the next session, because you have to attend the next session also. Important questions definitely I'm going to discuss, and I will show you the old question paper also in the next class. So if you have any questions, paradigms of public administration, page number 31, 34 in textbook. 31, 34, let me check what are the page numbers, 31 and 34. Just a minute. We have discussed all the important topics so far. See, whenever I'm teaching, whenever I'm telling you about the lesson, then only I'm telling you from the examination point of view also which question is important. So if you're regularly attending the class, then I think you must be not having any problem in that. Page number 31, 34. See, these are the different paradigms, or you can say the different phases of public administration. And today I have discussed this, right? Today I have discussed all this politics administration dichotomy, and the crisis of identity, all these things we have discussed, right? Just a minute. You just, once you go through the video, you will not have any doubt, because today we have discussed about all these aspects, especially because you have already mentioned to me, that is, you have certain problem in this politics administration dichotomy. Then that's why I have discussed this today in detail. That is the principles of public administration. When the principles of public administration were postulated by the different thinkers, they were verbs. You cannot utilize or apply it to the different organizations. So then came the challenge, it is called the era of challenge, that is from 38 to 47. In that time, it was really very difficult for public administration because there were several writings against the theories of public administration, whatever the principles were postulated. Then came, the crisis of identity. As I said, many of the scholars who opted for public administration, or who have, they have supported public administration, they went back to the political science. So then came the crisis of identity, like what public administration, it focused on the policies, like what policies should be, how the government should take decisions for the people, taking into consideration their social, economic, and political aspects. That is public policy perspective. Then new public management. New public management, it emphasized on the functioning of the government more efficiently. It did not focus on the process of functioning. It has, it wanted the outcome of the functioning, like, what work you have done. It's not that how you have done. In public administration, we talk about the hierarchy. That is, suppose a file has to move from one table to the another, or from one person to the another. Then what happens? It keeps moving, and it takes a little time. But new public management is not, it doesn't care about the process, but it wants the work to be done. It wants the work to be done more quickly, more efficiently, and more effectively, and even with the cost cutting. Then public administration as a governance, as I discussed in today's class only, public administration, it transformed from just government, functioning of the government, to governance. That is, it is a more broader than the concept of government. Working for the welfare of the people is nothing but, incorporating the good principles for the functioning of the government. All this, the public administration nature has been changing from time to time, and we have studied in this chapter. So any other questions you have? Yes. See, paradigm is nothing but a change, a shift, we can say, a shift in the phase. It is there is nothing more complicated about that. Yes, third lesson was taken by third and fourth lesson was taken by the other ma'am. Why Karl Marx was against bureaucracies? He felt that bureaucracy, basically, as I told you, bureaucracy earlier, the people who belong to the elite class, they were appointed as officials. Now, whom do you think they will work for? Definitely, they think that they work for the people of the elite class only. So what about the working class people? What about the marginalized sections of the people? They definitely, they're not going to work in the interest of the lower sections or the marginalized sections. That's why Ambedkar has emphasized for representative bureaucracy. Now, what is representative bureaucracy? Representative bureaucracy is wherein all the sections of the people, all the classes of people, they are given equal importance, or they must be given an opportunity to participate in the decision making, and they have to be part of the process making of the decision making. So Karl Marx, because he felt that the people, they are from the elite class, because in those days, the people from the lower classes, they were not appointed in the bureaucracy. That was the problem. But later on, times have changed, and the people from all the caste and all the class, they are becoming part of bureaucracy. And any other questions? All contributors are given their postulate basis of the social conditions. See, not necessarily, Ricks has stated that all the factors should be taken into the considerations, because the Western philosophers, they have postulated several theories, right? So whatever the theories they have given, most of the developing countries, they adopted it, but to a larger extent they were failure. So they have failed to take into the local conditions, local aspirations into consideration. That was the reason why they have failed. So Ricks has emphasized that the regional, the developing countries, their social, economic, cultural factors, they have to be taken into consideration. Then only the implementation is easy, and you will have the fruitful whatever you have, whatever you require or whatever you desire. So with this, we have completed all the classes, and today is the final class. But we will meet again. Okay. See, question paper I will show you in the next class. Okay. We will meet in the next class. I hope it is going to be very engaging and interesting, because many of your friends are going to present seminar, and we will discuss the important questions as well. And I'll show you the old question paper also in that session. So with this, we'll all meet in the next class.